You're in for a treat. I came across, I can't remember how I was introduced in the last year to a work that's going on here locally in LA. We all are concerned about the poor and the marginalized, the dramatic uprise in homelessness. And I've always kind of had an eye for really thoughtful, reflective engagement with that looks at not just at the needs of the hungry or the needs of, the addiction problem, but they look at more the holistic need of the person, the people that are addressed. And this work really does that beautifully. So I'm going to introduce Steve Bunyard up here. He's going to share with us as the director of a nonprofit called ReIGNITE HOPE. Steve was CEO and owner of Premier Performance, a high-performance automotive retailer and manufacturer in Orange County. And after selling the company, he went on to be a pastor at Rolling Hills Covenant Church, where Margaret and I attended for a number of years. While pastoring at that church, Steve decided to draw on his past skills, leadership, and his heart for those living on the margins of society, and founded ReIgnite Hope. Steve is an American Welding Society certified welder, a certified welding educator, and a certified welding inspector, and makes a compelling case that God loves welders. Please join me in welcoming Steve Bunyard this morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Well, I've been looking forward to being here for a couple of months since the invite came, and so thankful to get to share with you the story of ReIgnite Hope, because it's God's story. And I'm really thankful to our speakers here this morning. I know I've gained from each and every one of them. I'm sure you have as well. And I love their emphasis on work being part of us. Work being kind of an integral part of our design. We're made to work. We're made to be creative. And in all that, we're hearing about the great resignation of people who are leaving work, but there are millions of people who want work. They want work and they don't have it. And they don't have the ability to get it in some cases. And without that, it can crush families, it can crush your soul, it can crush marriages, because there's a part of you missing, right, that belongs there, that ability to work. So ReIgnite Hope, I want to tell you the story of it, but before I do, we're going to play a short video that I think will give you a little bit better image of it than anything I'm going to say up here this morning. But ReIgnite Hope, we started this about 11 years ago, just a few blocks from here on Skid Row. We're not there any longer. We've moved, but it is a Christ-centered job training program, and it has spread across the country and other countries as well. And this video you're going to see has two parts to it. The first part is talking about some training we're doing at a high school out in San Bernardino County. I got a call from a principal of a high school out there a few months back, and she heard about ReIgnite Hope, and she said, we have a lot of kids that we've identified as being vulnerable. They're not going to go to college. College isn't going to be their pathway, and we're worried that they're going to get in trouble. If they get out of high school and they don't have a job skill, would you please come? So part of our training nowadays isn't just in buildings like this, but it's in 18-wheelers. So the demand for the program became so great, we had to take it mobile. So the first part, you're going to see the mobile training at the high school out in San Bernardino County. And then the second part of it is going to be just an up-close and personal story from one of our students. He just graduated a few weeks ago. His name is Chris. And he's just on camera just telling all of you and us what the program meant to him. So let's take a few minutes. It's only a little over 4 minutes, and enjoy looking at this video.
When they told me about the welding opportunity at my school, that was an instant go-to for me. That touched my heart in a way that I let it sink in, and I thought about everything that I could do. I could provide for my future family.
Miss Crawford, the principal, she saw this traveling down a street over in Palos Verdes. Came over, talked to me, said, "What in the world is this?" And I explained it to her, and she says, "Oh, would you please come out to Montclair? We really, really need this. We've got some students out there that could really be blessed by this." We're a nonprofit. Our program is free. We've never charged tuition to anyone. Well, ReIGNITE HOPE started 10 and a half years ago. We started up on Skid Row in Los Angeles. We outgrew that location, outgrew a second location, moved to Gardena, and then decided to add mobile. We just have had so much excitement around this, and now we're building a second 18-wheeler right now as I speak. Probably by the time that's done, we're going to need a third one.
Kind of challenging, but at the end, it's going to pay off.
So I feel this joy that I don't have like nowhere else. It's just like this excitement, and I feel like a joy rush to me. I'm so excited just to weld and just to be in the moment, looking at like my welds just coming out clean.
We see the joy this brings on their faces, sometimes tears in their eyes, when they can see that they're accomplishing something and learning a real skill that can bless them and their family for the rest of their lives. I always tell our students that if you know how to weld and you're not lazy, you can find work anywhere in the world, literally anywhere in the world. And so I think they come in here just not knowing what to make of all this, and then their self-esteem builds, their confidence builds, their optimism toward the future builds, and that hope gets reignited.
First, I came from all the way from El Paso, Texas. I'm not from around here, so I don't know how I made it this far. But something drew me all the way out here to come to this school. It's only for this school I moved out here. I built a camper. I'm staying down the street in a camper, but just so that I can get this experience, the opportunity. When I walked in these doors for the orientation, I kind of knew something was drawing me here and a calling. I didn't come with an open heart. I came to, just to say I tried. I gave it my best shot. I never knew that this place would actually open my heart and actually give me real opportunity in more than just welding. So from El Paso, I was, I've been to prison. Was in prison for 5 years. I reverted to drugs, alcohol, just thinking that I could do it all myself. I knew that I was smart. I knew that I had talent, but I just thought I could do it all myself. I didn't realize how important it is to be at peace with yourself, and being at peace with yourself means being at one with God, and it really does uplift you. And more than the certification, I'm happy now. I'm happy, and I can say thank you guys for all the love you guys gave me, every little bit of it. And I just want to return that, and hopefully I can come back to ReIgnite and help you all, the future classes, and just let them know that there is hope for them as well, because these people are amazing. You all are amazing, and I love you guys. Thank you, Lord. Thank you very much.
Well, that was Chris, and I said he graduated just a few weeks ago, and he came to us right out of prison in El Paso, Texas. He heard about ReIgnite Hope somehow. I don't know how that works. I get letters from inmates all over the country saying, "I'm about to get out. Is there any way I can get into your program?" And so he came to us from Texas. Drove out here just to do ReIgnite Hope. We have a 1 month, 120-hour training program where we can train somebody to be an entry-level welder in 1 month. And then he was going to head back to Texas to look for work as a welder. But we had a fun text from him this week. He contacted us. He didn't make it back to Texas. He got hired in Arizona. So, he was in Flagstaff, and he saw a help wanted welder sign, went over and thought, check it out. And They brought him inside, tested his welding. He said, man, I passed no problem on the welding, and they hired me. So he didn't even get back. But I think you can see the hope that's been reignited in his life, right? And talking about God there, we do take that holistic approach that Steve talked about. They all get certified as welders through our program, but they get reminded every day that we'd rather have you saved than certified, but we want both, saved and certified. So we work toward that. We open the Bible with them every single day after lunchtime. We gather them all up. We talk about Jesus for about 15 to 20 minutes every day, and it has a dramatic effect on their life, as you can see, and we have other stories like that on our website, so you might want to check that out. But let me tell you the story of how this happened. So I was a missions pastor, ReIGNITE, RHCC, Rolling Hills Covenant Church, and our church was doing normal stuff up here on Skid Row, just a few blocks from here. Blankets, hygiene kits, food, the things churches normally come up here and do. And we were working with one of the well-known missions over here, the Fred Jordan Mission. And we would come up here and do those things, and then we'd come back a couple months later, and same people in line. A couple months later, same people. They're still here. They're still in line. A year later, they're still here. They're still in line. It's the same, only the line's longer. The line kept getting longer, but the same people were still there. Nothing was changing. And that's what I was seeing. And then Willie Jordan, the matriarch of the Fred Jordan Mission, comes up to me about then, and she says, we've been up there for about a year helping, and she said, Pastor Steve, what do we do so that we're not feeding the same people all the time? She saw it too. Nothing was changing. And I said, Willie, I don't know. I think they need a job, but I don't know what to tell you about that. I said, our church doesn't do job training at all, but I don't know how you get out of Skid Row without a job. But I said, hey, I'll pray about it. So I did. I started praying about it. And this crazy idea of welding wouldn't leave me alone. I'd learned to weld when I was young. I was with race cars and hot rods and all that stuff in my youth, and had jobs where I needed to weld. Never saw that being a ministry. I wasn't even a Christian back then. And that this wouldn't leave me alone, this idea. And maybe it's just like the only thing I could think of that I could maybe teach somebody that they could actually go get a job, right? Teaching them to be a pastor isn't going to be very marketable. So that just wouldn't let me alone, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I'm thinking, gosh, how would we do that up here? Where would you do the welding training? And can you teach homeless people to weld? I don't even know. And I've never taught anybody how to weld. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go back to Willie. She's going to hate the idea because she's like 80 and she'll be afraid of welding. And when all of you think of welding, you think of a building burning down or something, right? So, well, she loved the idea. And she said, oh my gosh, she said, that would be great. And she said, we'll give you a room right here in the mission to start with. And I thought, oh my, what did I just get myself into here? So we started. I went and bought a couple welding machines. They vetted 5 homeless men for us. And we started, and it changed their lives. And then it took off like a rocket. Everybody started hearing about it. Everybody wanted in the program. And we outgrew that room really quickly. Then she gave us the whole 3rd floor of the Fred Jordan Mission, which is a pretty big space. We outgrew that. Then the LAPD heard that we were out of space. They helped us find a building 2 blocks away over here on Boyd Street. And we got in there and outgrew that. Just had people wanting to flood into the program more than we could handle. And lives were just changing like crazy, just like Chris there, person after person after person, lives changing. So we ended up moving our headquarters down to the city of Gardena, just a few miles south of here, to an even bigger facility. And then we outgrew that. And so I thought, what are we going to do? We can't just keep getting bigger buildings, because every time we move, it gets more costly. And so I thought of the mobile training. God put that on my heart because back in the race car days, we towed our race cars around in trailers and we did welding inside the trailer. And I started thinking, wow, maybe we could do that. We don't need a building. We'll just keep our headquarters in Gardena, do most of our training there, but then we can go on the road with the 18-wheeler that you saw. And well, that's just taken off like crazy now. I've got cities all over America calling us, wanting us to get ReIgnite Hope started in their city with an 18-wheeler. So we're trying to figure that out. You know, it is just such an amazing thing that God did through all of this. And again, it's His story that's made all of this happen. We're now in Philadelphia. We're about to open Dallas. We're about to open Las Vegas. We're maybe going to open Sacramento here pretty soon. We're in multiple cities in Southern California right now. We're about to start back out at San Bernardino again here in a couple weeks with the high school out there. I should have mentioned to you, that's a continuation school. Those are all kids that have been kicked out of a couple other high schools, and that's their last chance. If they don't make it there, they're not going to make it. And to see them crying on the last day we were there, and their moms crying, that's just priceless to see a changed life like that. And we're in the Philippines, we're in Brazil, we're looking at Cambodia as the next place to start. I flew over there. The need is great. Hey, put a blindfold on and throw a dart at the map, and anywhere it hits, there's a need, isn't there? Joblessness is everywhere. People have lost hope everywhere. That's just another pandemic, isn't it, on top of COVID? And so I'll ask you to pray about all this because we're trying to figure out what to do with all of these requests that are coming in for this, and every city needs it. But God keeps raising up people to be involved in this. And, you know, when you're somebody like Chris, you know, we talk about the unemployment rate being 4% or 6% or 8% or whatever it is. When it's you, it's 100%. When you're the one unemployed, it's 100%. And so that really changes things in a very dramatic way when you can't provide for your family. And again, you feel that emptiness. That part of you's missing that God created, right, that we've been talking about here this morning. And ReIgnite Hope is just, you know, one way that we're addressing this. But, you know, somebody talked about, you know, Mark 12 there and the great commandment there, and love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and then love others, right? Well, this is how we show our love to others. It isn't the only way to do that. You all can do that, right? The best way to spend your life is making a difference in other lives. And it doesn't have to be welding. It can be something, but you are meant to be a blessing to others, and I just want to encourage you to live your life that way. It's people you can bless in your families, in your neighborhoods, in your workplace. Everywhere you go, there are people that have lost hope. I read an article that said over half of Americans feel that they have nobody to talk to. Nobody they can really talk to. And over half of Americans regularly experience intense loneliness. So some people just need somebody to talk to, right? That's a way to be a blessing. Lots of ways that we can have God's eyes and ears around us to be helping others out. And ultimately, if we want to change the world, we got to change people, right? Because changed people live changed lives. And everybody needs Christ. Everybody needs Christ, and they need us because we're His agents of change, aren't we? We're to be those shining lights in a twisted and crooked generation. That's what God's calling us to be. So I don't know what kind of light He's wanting you to be, but He's wanting you to be a light somewhere in some way. If you want to be part of what God's doing at ReIgnite Hope, we're very volunteer driven, so go to our website, reignitehope.com, click on the volunteer button. We got lots of ways to volunteer. Math tutors, most of our students aren't very good at math. They got into the 9th or 10th grade, got in trouble. Over half our students are coming out of prison, or out of gangs, trapped in poverty. And even though they made it to the 9th or 10th grade, their math is like 2nd grade. And so that's going to be a barrier to employment. So we work a lot of math with them. Just decimals, fractions, and tape measures. You can all do that, right? Decimals, fractions, and tape measures. It's not algebra and trigonometry and all that. Don't worry about that. Resume tutors. Maybe you could help help put their resumes together as we help them find their first job. We don't just train them, we help them find their first job through our network of employers that we have. And lunch program, we have small groups from churches come every day to bring lunch to the students because some of them don't even have bus money or lunch money. So think about joining our lunch program. And I'll throw this out. We've done this tons and tons of times. You could know nothing about welding, but say, hey, I want to learn to weld so I can be one of your coaches. We'll teach you how to weld, and we can do it quickly. We can do it quickly, okay? So if you think you'd like to learn how to weld and then volunteer as one of our coaches, love to have you. Again, just click on the volunteer button at ReIgniteHope.com. But I just want to thank you for letting me share this morning, and I hope it's a source of encouragement for you in the midst of all the bad news. There's some pretty great news going on too as well. So thank you. I'll be around if you got any questions. I'd enjoy answering those for you. Thank you.